Welcome to Computer Tech and More. Today we're going to be taking a look at the LionWei USB hub. It has a bunch of different features, but let's go ahead and just open up. The box came, as we see right now, a little bit damaged, which is a little bit disappointing. Got a nice little sleeve. Alright, so we got power delivery. We have USB 2, which is fine because if you're going to be hooking up like a dongle for a mouse or keyboard or whatever, that's perfectly fine. We got two HDMI ports. I believe these are 4K capable, yes. Two 4K at 30 hertz, which is a little bit on the low side these days because a lot of newer ones can actually do up to 8K at 30 hertz. So that would be the equivalent of most of them two 4Ks at 60. So that's a little bit of a disappointment, but if we come around to the back, it does have VGA. So I do have an older monitor that is in perfectly good condition, but, well, it takes VGA, DisplayPort, and DVI, so I'm pretty restricted on ports without needing additional adapters. And actually my second monitor is in the very similar situation in terms of its ports on the back. But then on this side we have another USB 2 and 1, 2, 3 USB 3.1s, which I believe are listed at 10 gigabit per second. I'm just rereading the box here. 4K, 4K at 60 hertz. Okay, that's fine. Not sure. Oh, HDMI 2 is 4K at 30. Yeah, I'm just reading it as we're looking at. VGA is up to 1080p, which is perfectly normal. Oh, I forgot. VGA is only at 1 gig speeds. So I was kind of looking for one that had a 2.5 gig port on it. And I do have a couple in that we'll be taking a look at in other videos. They can be adapted to DisplayPort. Yes, the 3.1 ports are at 10 gig speeds. So it's 10 gig through here, and then if you do have these fully loaded up with like 10 gig SSDs, you're going to see a drop in speed, and I'm going to test that actually. It's going to do 1, 2, and then 3 SSD-based externals, hard drives, and see if I can max this thing out and see what the actual performance drop is in it. And we're going to be hooking up, what's the resolution on it? I'll talk about in the video, or when I get to it for testing, VGA and HDMI, and just see if I can get the dual display output going on it. All right, let's move on. Let's do the testing. Actually, before we get into the testing, so the outside feels like plastic. Yeah, that's plastic, although it looks like a metal finish. Oh, it's got an audio jack on it. A lot of newer laptops are missing that from Dell, so that might be a huge necessity for you. But overall feels pretty good. I'm curious how its heat dissipation will be. Okay, now let's get into testing. Welcome to my multi-port series, where I'm going to be taking a look at a bunch of different hubs. I found myself needing a different one for my home office environment, for when I work from home. So I'm going to be taking a look at basically this grouping to see which one best suits my need, if any of them. And I hope you stay tuned and enjoy. Speed test directly plugged in. And this SSD is the Sabrent Rocket Nano 1 terabyte. And this is the result. Now let's check it with some of the USB devices. First up is the display test. We got a VGA and HDMI. Can you see the mouse? There's the mouse. So it's working as expected with multi-monitors. Alright, so I have 3 external SSDs plugged in all at once. So I'm going to do this in two tests. One first time with two of the SSDs running, and the second time with all three. So we're going to see the performance drop, as well as whether it can power all three externals. All right, start and start. So this way they'll be in sequence more or less with each other. Well, running Crystal Disk Mark simultaneously, they both appear to be running flawlessly. Notice that they jump on screen. I'm going to keep recording so that's proof. Alright, we're going to try all three at once because not really point in letting these run continuously, I guess. You can see that they're getting just about full speed, which makes sense. Actually, no, not quite full speed, because both of them can handle full 10 gig USB, so that would be 1,000 megabytes per second. So overall, actually pretty impressive speeds. The split, the numbers don't quite add up perfectly. Okay, let's check all three running simultaneously. Saw me just hit start. All right, and now they're posting. So the maximum sequential operations of Crystal Disk Mark that I found be able to run at once is 3, but obviously they are not running perfectly in sync. This one is a little bit farther behind. But you can see they're all being accessed simultaneously. Yeah, this one isn't running at all. I wonder if because it's just a little bit slower. Nope. Oh, maybe it just started. But I saw all three pegged at once, so maybe that is, yeah, there's 100 megabytes per second, while the other ones are doing their stuff. But I guess that is a limitation in this. I have another enclosure where I was able to get 3 simultaneous SSDs to run on, it was a Sabrent 5-bay external enclosure. So that appears to be a limitation with this. So if you need to run more than 2 drives at once, this will not work for you. And I don't have a thermal camera, but I can tell you that this is warm to the touch, and the bottom is fairly warm. Now, it's not a concerning temperature, but certainly is, again, warm. So I don't know if I would be concerned about that or not. I'm going to say probably no, because it's not too hot. But also this test is pretty simplistic. And for another test, this is a data transfer test. Looking pretty good overall. So if I pause one of them, I don't know which is which. Should see speeds climb nicely. So that's pretty good. The hub is staying at that temperature I was feeling before, so that's overall not that much of a concern. So some funny behavior with the LionWei 13-in-1. So you'll notice I got my 3 displays working, and this is my work computer, so 1080p, right? Except this is a 16:10 display, so it's actually 1200, like the main display on this laptop. Then we got the other one sitting over there, and it's 1680 by 1050. I'm gonna unplug, so it's plugged in via HDMI to VGA adapter. Things are cycling, you can see that one turned off. No real issues. It may decide that they're duplicates. Nope, they're not. That's good. And let's come down to the resolution. 1200. 1200. This is supposed to be capable of handling 2 4K displays. Why is it altering my resolution? I don't know, but that is incredibly annoying. And to show I'm not crazy, I'm going to take this, unplug it, plug it directly into the computer, and voila, it's working perfectly. So this hub has proven that it can't do what I want it to do, unfortunately. Here I am using the LionWei 11-in-1. This is on my work computer. So you'll notice that, so HDMI to VGA, and we got VGA to my display, just going with what plugs I actually have adapters for. And we can clearly see that this monitor, which should be 1200p, so 1000, is limited to 1080p. If I were to plug it in, well, through a USB 2 to display port, it would be functioning perfectly. So once again, a limitation with this device, that it should be working absolutely flawlessly, and it's not. Pooh. So this leads me to a general conclusion for this 11-in-1 LionWei, don't know how it's pronounced, but 2 USB 2, which is perfectly sufficient for like a space ball or a mouse and that kind of stuff, keyboard. 3 USB A's, which would be good for data transfer. However, most external SSDs are starting to move to USB-C. So it's a little bit outdated and raises questions. So it'd be great for current stuff, but maybe not as much for the future. A2 HDMIs that are supposedly capable of 4K. Unfortunately, I don't have a monitor that I can truly test out in multi-monitor. And the VGA good for up to 1080p. So it's certainly a good for current configuration, but because it has no USB-C on it other than for power delivery, it's really not great for looking into the future. But certainly does as advertised, and may be a great pick for you. And something to think about if it's worth the price. So the price of this was $49. Am I looking? Yes, $49. So for the same price, there are many other competing ones, and makes it a much harder buy. So within its own price range, this same brand has a 13-in-1 that we'll check out in another video. So that might be a even better contender, because on paper it looks even better. So with that, thank you for joining me on the review for the LionWei. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please subscribe for more. I've got a lot of fan testing video on my channel. If you got suggestions for other things for me to take a look at, please leave in the comment sections down below, and I hope to see you next time on Computer Tech and More.